Guys, I want to get loud all of a sudden.
Do it.
Sorry, I'm going to.
It's you. I knew it was coming.
I'm sorry, guys,
Can't
but I
hold 'em
need
back.
to do that.
It is. You feel like Poseidon chucking that bugger down in the water.
Sucking that bugger. Did you butt out that deer?
I did not butt out that deer, but the next one I get, it's getting its butt out.
Is that little Stevie out here in the back?
Drobop. Bow drop, I'm sorry. Drobop. Hello. Stay tuned. I'll be back after my seizure.
Every little chipmunk that was running around, everything's dead quiet, and I went like that. Just happened.
I saw what is in essence a nature-gasm.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome again around the Sonic Campfire. This is Uncle Buck coming at you. Who do I have with me tonight?
It's Kyle.
I'm Steve.
I'm Will.
Hey,
And I'm Catfish.
and I think Ryan and DK will eventually filter in here tonight. But even more so, we have a big night tonight, guys. We have...
You have a big night in particular. This is your wheelhouse.
Yeah. I've been anticipating this for, 3 weeks since...
Anyhow,
Stevie let me know about who we're having tonight, guys.
Yeah,
we've been excited.
Any guesses?
I don't know.
What is my favorite species of fish?
Bowfin.
Women.
Crappie.
Thank you, Will. It is crappie. When I go out, that's the fish I want to catch in a lake.
Mermaids.
I appreciate it. And we probably have the most premier crappie fisherman that I've known of for the last
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
20 years that I've started.
Who is it, bud?
Get to it.
Mr. Wally Marshall.
Mr. Crappie.
Mr. Crappie, Wally Marshall.
Wow. Hey, Wally.
Hey, what are you guys doing? Sound like y'all having a party.
We're
That's
trying
right.
to, and it just got better, man.
Every Thursday.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. What are you up to today?
Well, I'm at the Bass Masters Classic over here in Greenville, South Carolina. I'm the only crappie fisherman at the Bass Masters Classic Expo.
No kidding.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
How's it
Oh,
going?
yeah.
Is it lonely then?
Well, it was set up day to day, and everybody's getting their booths together. And of course, I'm here working with Lou, Strike King, TH Marine, Humminbird, Minn Kota, just on and on, man. It's just we just got a lot of stuff going on here, and for the next couple of days, I'll be shaking hands, kissing babies, and hugging grandmas, and just having a great time and promoting all my new stuff. And I know it's a bass fishing event, but there's a lot of crappie fishermen, but they say crappie here.
Yeah.
Do they?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's crappie, not crappie, in the Carolinas, all the way down to almost Florida. But in Florida, they call them specks. In Louisiana, below I-10, they call them sockeye. In North Louisiana, in East Texas, they call them white perch.
They call
It's all the same
Really?
fish. And in Vermont, it's strawberry bass.
Holy, I've heard of crappie. I've heard of crappie and crappie, and that's it, Wally.
Yeah, well, they call them specks in Florida.
And
In Texas, a speck is a speckled perch or a speckled trout.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speckled trout on the coast. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But been put in a lot of miles. Drove from Texas over here last night, and just put in a lot of miles. And we're going to put on a big show this weekend here at the Bass Masters Classic.
So you got to be pretty tired after a long day at a long day there, and then spending some time with us on the phone. That's man. You
Well,
must
a
be
lot
ripped.
of people don't know that I put on about 85 to 92,000 miles a year on this Ford Super Duty.
Wow.
Man, it's Ford guys.
Do the math on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Man.
They don't let me do math anymore on the show, Wally.
Your math.
Oh, is that right?
It's vague math. It's not even real math.
Well,
Fuzzy
and,
math.
you know,
Fake numbers.
You know, they talk about everything's big in Texas. You know, our crappie have to be 10 inches long even to keep one.
Woo! No kidding.
And so
That's the way it should be,
it's
though.
25 crappie a day, 10-inch limit. Now over in Mississippi, around Grenada, it's 15 a day, but they got to be 12 inches long.
Wow.
I think
You're talking about some monster crappies over there in Mississippi at Enid, Sardis, Grenada. Those lakes right there produce some monster crappies.
Phil, you get any?
If you want to catch a 3-pounder, that's the lake to go to, Grenada, Mississippi.
That's kind of what I've read. The best crappie I've ever had was about a 15.5-inch crappie.
Whoa!
But yesterday at Lake Hartwell, right here where they're having the Bass Masters Classic, a friend of mine caught a 4-1.
What?
4 pound.
That's
4 pound, 1 ounce crappie on Lake Hartwell yesterday.
Holy cats.
And what did he catch him on?
I don't know.
Besides a hook.
He's holding the secret out.
He is.
Is he?
Oh boy!
But I'll find out tomorrow. What he's catching them on. But
call us back.
Yeah. Please.
I hope he was using one of my jokers or one of my shadpole lures or whatever.
Yeah.
But
need to tackle your friend, take his cell phone, find the coordinates to that lake.
Exactly.
That's incredible.
Oh,
4
yeah,
pounds.
Exactly. But no, we for the last 30 years, we've been promoting Mr. Crappie and crappie fishing products all across the United States. And, of course, I do the TV shows for Protein Journal. I do all the crappie segments there and also on Fish Hard on the Sportsman and Pursuit channels. And I think we do a great job of teaching. That's my big deal, is teaching people how to catch crappie. If I fail at that, my products are no good.
That's how I found you a few years ago. Wally was just doing some research on crappie fishing, and it came up. I don't remember where you were, but you were talking about different tackle to use, different rod to use, how to present the bait, and it was very informative and a very informative. I think it was a YouTube video, if I'm not mistaken. But no, you're 100% right.
We've got a bunch of stuff out there on YouTube, and of course, you go to Protein Journal. We got a lot of stuff there. Over the last 6 years, we've got a lot of footage on catching big crappie, small crappie, all sizes of crappie. I even put small ones on TV. Of course, Bill Dance wouldn't do that, but hey, you're just catching fish,
Yeah.
And it makes me feel good to actually teach someone how to go out and catch a fish and be successful at it every time they go.
So how did you get started crappie fishing?
Man, I had a neighbor. Well, actually, I was in the plumbing business, and I was a plumber. And at the local plumbing shop where you get your supplies, there was a guy by the name of Jack Caldwell, and Jack wanted to take me crappie fishing and kind of teach me how. And we were wade fishing, wading with a pair of waders and taking a 9 or 10 foot rod and poking it back up in the bushes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And wade fishing during the spring, because the crappie come into the brush, they come into the banks when they go shallow in the spring, and you wade around and drop that jig around those cattails or up in the grass or briar patches, flooded bushes, all of that. Any of that structure provides the number one structure for all game fish, and that's shade. And so back then, I didn't know anything about it, but hey, we were catching fish like no tomorrow. in shallow. Actually, I was using a fly rod because there wasn't any Wally Marshall rods and reels. There wasn't any Mr. Crappie product. You know, I didn't even own a boat at the time. Matter of fact, the first tournament I ever fished and the first tournament I ever won, which was that one, I didn't even own a boat. And so all I had was a pair of waders. And back then, in Crappie Thon was the first tournament trail. Came to Texas, and I think there were like 287 teams in the tournament.
Wow.
And I had found a little old patch of cattails on Cedar Creek Lake behind this guy's house. And so I had to go into this neighborhood, visualize this. I went into this neighborhood, walked in between the houses, went down to the lake, and started catching crappie out of the cattails.
This is your first tournament, right?
Yeah, and I was actually practicing for the tournament,
Okay.
you know, just trying to find some fish. And I was about 2 weeks away from the tournament, and all of a sudden it come a big snowstorm, and I was like, oh, no, man, my fish are going to be gone. And it was about 300 yards of cattails in behind on this bank line, but one area was extremely green. All the cattails were pretty and green and everything. And so I was like, why is this green here? Well, behind this one house, they had a boathouse there that was kind of dug into the land, and it had concrete. Mm-hmm. It was a concrete boathouse, and it went up into the land a little bit, and there was water up in there, and all these green cattails. And when I was fishing, I kept hearing this pump come on. Well, the gray water from the house that has the dishwasher, the washing machine on that line, and it was pumping what come out of the washing machine, which is washing powders, has all the, you know, it has all the, what do you call it, all the chemicals.
Detergents.
Yes.
That heat the water up, that turns it's like fertilizer.
Oh,
And
no
so
kidding.
all these cattails were green right there behind that boathouse, or in front of that boathouse out in the lake.
Yeah.
And so I went back to work that week, and I told a buddy of mine, I said, hey, man, let's fish this crappie tournament down here. It's coming to Texas down at Cedar Creek Lake. He goes, man, I don't know nothing about Cedar Creek. And I said, okay. So anyway, I live about an hour and a half from the lake, and I put on a pair of waders. That morning at the house, got in my truck, picked Joel up, Joel Peacock. He was my partner. He was an electrician. I'm plumber. We're driving to the lake.
Wow.
And, of course, I put my waders on way too soon. I'm burning slap up, you know, sweating. I mean, you know, just driving down the road, you know, and just all hyped up about it. Couldn't hardly sleep the night before. And we get in front of this guy's house, and Joel goes, what are we doing? I said, we're going to go in between these houses here and catch them crappie out of these cattails down here. Because he had never been there. And so we go down there, and I got 1 foot in the water, and I start jerking them crappie out of them cattails, and I throwed one up on the bank, and I turned around and looked at Joel, and he was drinking a beer. And I was like,
My man.
dude, what are you doing? He said, man, I'm nervous. I ain't never fished in a tournament before. I said, man, I ain't either. I said, get them waders on and get out of here. And so we started catching fish, and it got about 11 o'clock, and I was like, man, Joel, I'm getting hungry. And so we tied our fish off there to this stick. We had a stringer of fish, and you could weigh 20 fish, okay? And so we tie our fish off. We go to the hamburger place, and we stay gone about an hour. We're in a tournament, dude.
What? You left the tournament for an hour.
Yeah, I left the tournament for an hour.
And your fish.
And my fish. And so we go back, and of course, it wasn't you didn't have to keep them alive or nothing. You could weigh them dead or alive back then. And so it was 20 crappie in the weigh-in, okay?
Yeah.
And so we go back, and the fish are biting again, and we're just catching fish left and right. We don't have no scale. We don't have no way to weigh them. We just look at the fish and go, okay, this one's bigger than that one, da-da-da-da. We put them in a plastic garbage bag, no water. We drive 32 miles to the weigh-in, and I get there with 5 minutes to go, and we're at the end of the line. And there was 287 teams in this tournament.
Dang.
Oh, wow.
You talking about weighing some fish now.
Yeah.
They weighed fish that day. Anyway, we're at the end of the line. We put the stuff in the bucket or in the basket to weigh them, and the guy picked it up, and he goes, whoa, we may have a new leader.
What?
Whoa.
Sure enough, we took the lead by over a pound.
Dang.
Wow.
Out of
And
200.
so we were the last ones to weigh in. There wasn't nobody else.
Wow.
And so they said, well, you're going to have to take a lie detector. And I was like, holy crap. So they take me down to this hotel room, and there's this Texas Ranger. I'll never forget him, this big old Texas Ranger that cowboy hat on.
Walker.
And he got me in this room, and he's like, okay, have you ever taken the lie detector before? And I said, no, sir. And I was shaking. Boy, I was like, man, I can't believe this. So he puts me in this chair. He turns me backwards. He hooks me up to this machine, stuff on my fingers, stuff around my waist, everything. And he goes, okay, I'm going to ask you some questions so I can set my machine to where I can tell whether you're lying or not. And answer yes or no. And so I go, okay. And the first question, have you ever stole anything? I said, yes, sir. When I was in the 5th grade, I stole a candy bar. And he goes, no, dude. He said, just answer yes or no. And I was telling him about stealing a candy bar down at Cooter's grocery store when I was in the 5th grade. So anyway, he go back, we take it, and he said, end of the deal, he goes, well, we got a problem. I said, oh, no. Uh-oh. He said, we got a new winner. I said, who is it? So I go, who is it? And he goes, you dummy. Boy, I come running out of that hotel room, man, jumping up and down, won $3,500 in
No
1987. And I thought I had more money than anybody. I was just like, unbelievable.
Do you remember what the buy-in was for that?
The buy-in was $75 for the team.
Nice.
Wow.
I bet you lost your burger then.
Oh, man, I'm telling you, we was jumping up and down. And, of course, I'll never forget, there was a whiskey company that sponsored the tournament named Rebel Yell.
I've got a bottle sitting on my desk.
I knew you were going to say that. Man. Yeah.
Hey, and I still have the bottle with the jig taped to the top of it, and I had everybody at the tournament sign it that wanted to sign my bottle.
That's cool.
That's great.
I just
Never
celebrated by
cracked the lid on it. Never cracked the lid on it. Still got it today.
Same here,
But
bud. We need to
there
get
was
out in the
people
garage and do
there-
some karate.
There were some people there that was from the industry, fishing industry, from Eagle Claw. There was another guy that represented Plano tackle boxes, Minna buckets, B&M poles, different crappie bets, floats, and jigs. And so he come up to me and he goes, hey, man, would you be interested in being an ambassador for my products? And I was like, yeah, dude, what does it consist of? And he said, well, where do you live? And I said, I live in Garland, Texas. He said, so do I. He said, why don't you come by someday? So I eventually went by, and basically Jim Cunningham, that was with Duncan Lewis Sales, and that day started me in this industry, and he told me one thing. He said, never take anybody's products that you won't use. and never lie to anybody in the industry. Never lie to anybody in the fishing industry. Do not take their products if you're not going to use them.
Right.
And I learned a lot from Jim Cunningham. And my first sponsor, which I landed, which is another story, 2 years later, or no, about one, the following, that summer, I went to Las Vegas and to the ICAST show.
Yeah.
And I only had $400 to my name.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was some trying times, and you go to the ICAST show in Las Vegas and you can't afford a hotel room, but I stayed in the guy's camper. So you actually couldn't go to sleep till like 1 a.m. where it cooled down enough to where you could actually just pass out.
Man.
It's a microwave.
That's terrible.
Get up the next day, and I go to the show, and it's setup day, and I'm walking through there, and they're like, "Hey, Woo, how you doing?" I was like, "Oh, wait a minute." So I go to this next booth, and I'm looking at their products. "Woo, just get anything that you want." Going down the way, and I go, maybe they're not seeing my name right on my shirt. I just had Wally Marshall on there.
Yeah.
And just a plain shirt with Wally Marshall, nothing else on it. And so, anyway, I get to all these booths, and the guy goes, "Hey, Woo, how you doing?" I go, "Hey, man, who in the hell's Woo?" They're like, "Aren't you Woo Days?"
Oh.
And I go, the bass fisherman? I go, "No, man, I'm not Woo Days." And so I got all these lures. I got a whole bag of lures. I'm talking about a big bag. I could barely tote it, And so I go over to the hotel next door to the Hilton, and I'm looking for my buddy over there, and I get on this elevator to go up to his room, and the elevator opened, and there stood Woo Days and his wife Patty. I didn't know him from Adam.
Did you give him his lures?
I go, "Ma'am, do you think I look like your husband?" She goes, "Well, y'all kind of resemble a little bit." And so I said, "Man, I've been walking around the show all day. They've been calling me Woo." I said, "Hey, buddy, here's your lures." And I gave him the whole bag. I gave him the whole bag of lures. He goes, "Dude, where do you get all these?" Because Woo will take anything, okay? Believe me, he was the king of caps. When he went to shows, he'd go around getting all these caps. Then his wife Patty would sell them at the bass tournament. She would sell them, and so anyway, he probably sold my lures too. So whatever. But me and Woo become great friends after that. Over the years, and of course we've been with Bass Pro Shop together, and I've been up to Virginia and rabbit hunted with Woo, and he does rabbit hunting. He does flounder commercial fishing. He does a lot of things like that. But basically, I went to the next day. I walked into Blakemore Lure Company out of Branson, Missouri. I walked into their booth, and I talked to Joe Hall. Joe Hall's daddy, Bert Hall, invented the Roadrunner in 1958.
No kidding.
The Roadrunner lure. And so I went to a lot of booths during that ICAST show and got back home. And of course, I sat by the phone. It was before cell phones. And I sat by the phone for days and days and days. No calls. Everybody told me, "Oh man, we'll do this, we'll do that." Never got a call. Then in October, I got a call from Joe Hall at Blakemore Lure Company. And he said, "Man, I just remember you coming in our booth, and I think maybe there's something we could do together. I don't know what it is, but we'll start out with 12 dozen Roadrunners." And Roadrunners back then was like $5.95 a pack or a card. You with me?
Yeah.
$5.95 a card. I got 12 cards. And so what I started doing is I started inundating them with magazine articles or newspaper articles and all kinds of articles for years and years and years. Today, I've been with Blakemore Lure Company for 31 years.
No kidding. Wow. Yeah, I'm looking at some of their lures here right now.
Yes, and actually, Joe Hall sold Blakemore to TTI companies in Alabama about 12 years ago, I think. And but anyway, that's how I got started. And 10 years later, I trademarked Mr. Crappie when I was with Bass Pro Shops. I signed on at Bass Pro Shops in 1997, and I designed crappie rods and reels for Bass Pro.
I have two of those.
Do you?
I have two of the Wally Marshall specials.
No kidding.
The 11-foot rods. I have one in red, one in green. And
I used. Is that what I used up at Memorial? There you go. Nice.
I love that rod with I don't even know the official name. It's basically like one of those stick bobbers that lay on their side now, and you can even you can see the minnow on it underneath. I like to fish a lot of live bait, Wally. And
you're talking about like a pencil cord.
Yeah, and I can see that that thing just vibrating on the top of the water. That lets me know that my minnow's still alive. And I love the action on the bobber because you can see it start to come up off the water into a vertical presentation when the fish starts, nibbling, playing with it.
Right.
And then it slowly starts to bring it down underneath the water. And it's so subtle, so sly. And with that 11-foot rod, then there's no reeling, guys. It's just a lift. It's like ice fishing.
Fish lifting,
if you want to.
That's it.
I'm very perceptive of this story, by the way, on how to become, very successful crappie fisherman. From the time of, shoplifting, a Cuda grocery store, candy bar to go right into trespassing and fish where any kind of sediment water is from somebody doing something they're not supposed to.
You got the background for it, bud.
Yeah. So a little bit of that.
For 7 years, there wasn't any rules that you had to fish out of a boat, and finally they put in the Wally rule that you have to fish out of a boat.
Make sure your buddy's got a warm beer before you start. Wear your waders way too long.
Yeah.
Find a good buddy that looks just like you to get free stuff and become friends with them.
And don't forget the burger stop.
Yes, and the burger stop is a
For
must.
an hour.
Don't forget your garbage bag to put all your fish in.
That's a great story.
It was a good story.
And tournaments today, man, I don't even eat. Dude, you fish all day long. You might drink some water. That's about it.
Yeah,
Man, so
that's awesome.
Then I had this deal to where I would take pimento cheese sandwiches. Like we fished a tournament down at Livingston Lake in Texas one time, and so I made some pimento cheese sandwiches, and we won the tournament. And so from then on, for a snack, we'd have some pimento cheese sandwiches before or during the tournament, if you wanted a snack. So believe me,
if you wanted to win
today, hey man, I'll tell you what, it's amazing. You kind of get that way, you get like quirky things that you do, or you see a red bird, or you see, that's my guy, the red bird. Because when the redbirds are whistling, the crappie are biting.
Gotcha.
Everybody always says, when you see the dogwoods blooming, man, you late. You're late. You're late.
They're gone.
Hey, they've been biting for a month before that, So
That's cool.
But no, with my first opportunity when Bass Pro Shop called me and wanted me to design rods for them, I was like, you know what, man, I don't know about that, because Zebco had approached me a year before, and we built samples and everything, and then they called me saying, well, we're not going to be able to pay you on this deal. And I go, what? Pay me? You going to pay me, or you ain't going to build them?
Oh boy!
And so they had already approached Bass Pro Shop about it. See, and I didn't know that. And so Bass Pro called me and said, "Hey, man, we want to sign you up and design rods for us." And so I did a 15-year stint with Bass Pro and started out with just 3 rods in an eighth of a page in the catalog in '97, little old bitty square. And I said, well, how many rods do y'all want to sell? And they said, well, if we sell 5,000 the first year, that'll be great. And we sold like 11,000.
Woo! There you go.
And so it was all like Donkey Kong. And for 15 years, it was a heck of a run. And then Bass Pro wanted to buy my brand.
Yeah.
Mr. Crappie. And, my brand came around about 6 months after I signed, because every time I would do a story with somebody or an article, they'd call me the Crappie Guru. They'd call me the Crappie King. They would call me all kinds of names, and
Pharaoh.
So I got to thinking, well, there's Mr. Twister. There's Mr. Catfish. There ought to be a Mr. Crappie. And so I called Joe Hall at Blakemore Lure Company, and I told him, I said, Joe, I got a question. I said, I think I'm thinking about trademarking Mr. Crappie. And there was a long pause. He said, if you don't, I am. So I went to the local library and checked with them to find out, hey, is it already taken? Anybody got it? Nope, ain't nobody got it. So I went to an attorney and trademarked Mr. Crappie. And ever since then, guys, it's been a lot of work. I never quit. I never give up. A lot of people may not have done what I've done, but just like being at the Bass Masters Classic, only crappie fisherman here, or crappie professional here. But if you want to do it bad enough, it's like, well, why did you go to that tackle show? Or why did you go to that boat show? What did it pay? It didn't pay nothing. That's just where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And so now it's like, we're really rocking. So I actually walk into my job and say, hey, guys, not at the end of the week, not at the end of the month, but in 10 minutes, I'm quitting my job here at the Garland School District as a plumbing superintendent. I just quit. Just give it up.
Peace.
And walked away. Just walked away. Saw that limb off behind you. If you know what I'm talking about, sawing that limb off.
Yeah. I do that every day in my mind. I say that same thing every single day to my boss.
Yep.
Hey, it's like you walk in there, and the day that I left, my high school baseball coach, Chuck Cornett, that played for the Boston Red Sox, was my high school baseball coach and was my immediate boss at the school district. And I walked in there and told Coach, I said, he goes, I need you to go to South Garland today to check on a leak. And I go, not today, Coach. I said, not at the end of the month, not at the end of the week, not at the end of the day, but in 10 minutes, I'm quitting.
Deuces.
He goes, man, if something's wrong, man, you need to go home and think about it. And I'll just count you here. And something must be really bad. And I go, no. I said, I can't chase my dreams here. I can't chase my dreams being here at the school district. He goes, man, I envy you. He said, man, I wish I could go with you. I said, you've been here 31 years, Chuck. You can go with me. We can go play golf today. We can walk out of here.
Yeah.
And I guarantee it, when I walked off of that job, that rock fell off my shoulder, and it's still rolling, brother.
That's cool.
That's wonderful.
That's great.
And over the years, we design a lot of new stuff for crappie anglers. I listen to people, and that's what's made it so successful, is because I listen to people of their needs. What do we need? And I have access to, all the manufacturers to build some of the greatest crappie products ever.
And that's awesome.
And I thank you for doing that, because I've caught a few pounds of crappie because of you, Wally. I appreciate that.
Oh.
What new stuff do you got coming out this year, Wally?
Well, I designed knives for buck knives. I designed some fillet knives. I've got those with buck knives. I've got the fish pick with buck knives, which is a hook remover, a hook sharpener, and a hook remover called the fish pick. That's a really great product with buck. Also, I've got a new product with TH Marine called Minnow Maker, which takes care of your bait in the live well, in the minnow bucket, or the producer of minnows, like Minnow Farms, because we sell it from a 55-gallon barrel. It's a liquid, not a crystal chemical. All of ours is liquid,
Okay.
and so you can measure it better. And 1 ounce treats 90 gallons.
Whoa.
It is great stuff, man. It keeps the slime on your fish. It takes out all the chlorine. It takes out all the hard metals. It does all of that.
Yeah, that's one of the issues I have with my bait tank at the house. I have a very large bait tank that I keep bluegills in, and to get the hard trace minerals, to get the hard water out of it is sometimes can be a challenge with different products. So I'm interested in looking into that.
Well, here's the deal. A lot of people that go to the bait shop and they're going to get minnows, they're trying to stick a pound of minnows in a little old gallon bucket.
Right.
And they wonder why they die.
Right.
Well, here's the deal. The water's got to be cool. You got to have oxygen, and you got to have treatment that keeps the bait fresh, keeps the slime on them, and also my product, if you've got a fish that's in trouble or bleeding where you hooked him, you can pour it directly on the spot, and it will heal that fish up, and he'll be alive at weigh-in time.
That's impressive.
So,
yeah.
Very, very, very good product. I've got a new line of rods with the Wally Marshall Speed Sticks by Luz.
Yeah.
That's a new line of rods. You can check that out at luz.com. You can check out all of my crappie products at thmarine.com that we were talking about, Minnow Maker.
Okay.
And also with buck dives, I've got a new ruler, a measuring device that lights up. The whole ruler lights up. For guys that fish at night, late evening, early morning.
Lay it on me.
Just push the button. Hey, push the button. Put your fish on there, measure him up, and the light shines through the fish's tail. It's really cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, and it's called the NRG bump board by Buck Knives.
Cool.
The Energy bump board.
I see what they did.
I wanted to call it the Chocolata.
I like that one.
Hey, check a lot of fish, dude.
Amen, brother.
Check a lot.
Check a lot of tail.
I was with some bass fishermen at the ICAST show at the Buck booth, and I think it was Paul and Nick and Bill Lowen and these guys around there. And see, I made the ruler 21 inches long, and they go, "What do you call this one?" I said, "I call this a check-a-lot." I said, "Catch a lot or check-a-lot." He said, "What if you don't catch a lot?" And I said, "That's the reason I made it 21 inches for bass fishermen."
Yeah, man. That's what I was just going to say.
Oh, man, I killed them right there on the spot.
Burn.
But,
Amen.
But if you go to MrCrappie.com, you can check out all my products. Some of the new ones is not on there. I'm kind of behind. I'm not really the geek of the week, type guy. So I've got other people doing my website. I also I post a lot on Mr. Crappie Facebook.
Yeah.
I do that. And people can actually contact me through my website because it says contact Mr. Crappie.
Nice.
And that actually comes to my cell phone, and people call in, or get on there, and they think they're talking to a company, and then I call them back, and they're like, dude.
You do call them back.
I do call them back.
Yeah.
I do call them. Yeah.
We can attest to that. So, Wally, one last question, because I know you got to get you out of here quick. But one last question before you cut you loose. A new crappie fisherman, what are the top 3 things that person should get right away before they even get on the water?
Here's the deal. Get a map of the lake that you're wanting to fish. Go to your computer and pull up Google Earth.
Okay.
And have the map laying there, and you're looking at Google Earth. And like if you want to fish structure, trees, laydowns, visual structure, you can see it on Google Earth that you don't see it on the map. And you can also see where all the boathouses are and that type of structure, and see where the creek channels run underneath the docks. So you can, but you got to do your homework first, okay? And then you go out and, like, first of the year, I go fishing with my depth finder. I leave my rods at home. I use my depth finder because throughout the year we got floods, we got turbulence, we got current, and all rivers and all lakes change year to year.
Yeah.
And so I go up the creeks because the crappie are in the creeks early in the spring. I go up the creeks like in January, and I start scanning with my side imaging and down imaging, and I find all these new log jams and logs and structure, and I can see the fish on it. Because a lot of people just go fishing, they only have one spot, and they catch a lot, they take their buddies back the next day, and guess what?
Nothing.
Well,
that's Stevie.
You just named my cousin
Stevie. Should have been here yesterday, brother. So I guess they're not biting, so you only had that one spot. But if you had multiple spots to fish, you would be successful.
Stevie waits till someone else catches, then he jumps in their spot.
We call it short drifting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I call that big holing. Big holing.
Big holing.
Yeah, big holing. If you're in the back of the boat and he's on the front of the boat, well, then you can't get up there to get to the hole.
Yeah.
Big holing.
So,
Well, if you ever find yourself up here in Pennsylvania and you're bored, get a hold of us. We have a couple of secret crappie spots that are like really good secrets of Pennsylvania. Some of them are even private lakes that most people can't get into. So
we dabble in crappie.
Yeah.
well, I'll tell you what. If I ever get back to Pennsylvania, the last time I was there, I was at that Northeastern show, the big Eastern show, the outdoor show.
Yeah.
I was there. Me and Timmy Horton were there with Bass Pro Shops.
Okay.
It snowed 36 inches.
Then you're in the right place, brother.
Yep, that's us.
You found
Hey,
it. You
it was over the car door. It was over the car door.
You are here.
Yeah.
What was
And I
that?
was like, dude, I need to get back to Texas. I had to stay there like 3 extra days.
Well, make
Crazy.
a trip up here in May sometime, and the crappies aren't as big down there, but we sure do have the numbers. They're fun, like you said, they're fun to catch, and you sure can catch a pow of them.
So here's what I have to say about that. If you're going to take a kid fishing, taking brim fishing, bluegill fishing, or crappie fishing.
Amen.
Absolutely.
If you take him bass fishing, you're going to ruin him. He ain't going to want to go back.
Yeah.
Ever. I took a guy's kid fishing one time that worked for the Dallas Cowboys. The kid was like 5 years old. we went to Cedar Creek Lake, and we caught a limit of crappie with a Snoopy pole.
I believe it.
We got it out. We got it out for his son. He caught about 5 fish, and he started playing with the fish and doing extra, and he didn't want to cast out. He wanted to play with the fish. And so me and my buddy just sat there and casted that Snoopy rod and caught 50 crappie and went to the house with that Snoopy pole.
I love it. Wally, you've got to come back because we've barely scratched the surface of crappie
Well, man,
fishing.
I'll come back. I'll come back and visit with you guys anytime. And we're going to head out to dinner here. And
All right,
I
brother.
really appreciate y'all thinking of me. And just tell everybody to go to MrCrappie.com, and I'll be glad to talk to everybody.
We will, and we can't wait to get you back on here because I've got to talk about all your techniques in the next show.
Awesome.
So,
Well,
thank you.
Yeah, shooting, docks, trolling, we can do it all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Vertical jig, the whole bit.
all right, guys. That's,
Oh, yeah.
Thanks again, Wally. Again, for coming on. Guys, where can they find us?
www.ruttenriverpursuits.com. They can also find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and CastBox.
At R2 Pursuits on Instagram.
I would follow us individually. Some of my brothers here are picking it up lately. I'm very impressed, Stevie. Your Instagram's looking good. R2 Buck.
Oh, Stevie's raised the bar. Don't even give me any credit.
Just
Stevie
don't go
gets
to
it all.
R2DK, David Cow, whatever it's called. Just don't go to that one.
R2 David Kyle. Yeah,
That's what it was.
They call you DK, do they?
They call
That's
you
a pretty
DK.
good one. I'll check it out.
A lot of pictures of deer soap on there.
Thank
All right,
you, guys.
Mr. Crappie, check him out.
All right.
Later.
Hey,
See ya.
thank you, guys.
Thanks, Wally.
Rig 'em weedless.
My mama was from Cassville.
Cassville.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Is
Eureka,
that Cassville, Arkansas, or is that Cassville, Missouri?
Missouri, right across the border from basically Bentonville or Pea Ridge.
Right. I know where it is. Cassville. That's where Lucky Strike is.
Yeah.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Up around. Yeah.
Bucky, you mind if we do a podcast now with our
I'm
guest?
sorry. I'm sorry. Wally, they get a little jealous of the Midwest.
Oh, yeah. Totally jealous.
Yeah.